Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV, and I'm privileged to be joined by Bernard Deneen from the Citizen Channel. How you doing, Bernard?
Yeah, the poor man's Gary James. That's what I consider myself. So yeah, I'm happy to be here, mate, and I'll take that. I'll say that all day long. That's I've created that, no one else. So it's my copyright.
I thought you were the poor man's Mike Long.
Well, yeah, everyone's a poor man's Mike Long,
or Long Mike, as he calls himself these days. And young Mike, and young if you're around. Hey guys, look, this is going to be the most interesting part of the video. Okay, this initial chat, because we're here to talk about boring City. It's been levelled at us from time to time, and I want to see from the fans' point of view what they think of the football. Look, we'll start off by mentioning we won another trophy last night. We won the Super Cup, and we won it. It wasn't. This is my opinion. It wasn't the most free-flowing football in the world, but hey, we didn't have KDB, we didn't have Bernardo Silva, we haven't got Mahrez anymore, we haven't got Ilkay Gundogan anymore. So, what do you expect? And I was watching it, and at times it's a hard watch because of the way we play. It's a slow build-up most of the time, slow everything most of the time, and we're looking for those gaps, those opportunities to play the ball through down the lines or down the sides, cut it back and stuff. And with the teams that are set up like Sevilla, very narrow, very defensive, it's very difficult to break them down. And it can be, as I said, a difficult watch. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Bernard. Are you loving watching the way Manchester City play at the moment as much as you did, let's say, 5 years ago when we had Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling marauding down the wings?
From a City fan's point of view, who loves the club, it doesn't matter. I mean, I dread to say it. I love watching City when Stuart Pearce was in charge. You know, that's just how it is. So we're biased. I mean, we have to be biased, but we have to look at it from. I like to look at it from a devil's advocate, an outside perspective.
Yeah.
And it's bums on seats, isn't it? And City at the moment, do they put bums on seats? Haaland puts bums on seats, the appearance of Haaland. Of course he does. But, hey, how boring was Haaland last night? You know what I mean? He did absolutely nothing. There's no use Haaland putting bums on seats if he's not lighting up the game. And I suppose you look at it from that aspect, from a fan's point of view, from a touristy fan point of view, if you like. Yeah, that was functional last night. It was functional. We had Sevilla, all credits from. Yes, as you said, they were defensive, but hey, they could break out and worry us at the back, and that made the game more entertaining from a neutral's point of view. I wouldn't say neutrals were falling over themselves to say it was a great game. It was on Sky. Sky is to say it's one of the best games in the world because that's what they do. They want to promote their own product. Yeah, but yeah, so all credit to Sevilla. You know, they had us rattled, and I think City, we saw it against Burnley, not so much, a little bit against Arsenal. City are going to get rattled for parts of games. That's whether we've got Leroy Sané blasting down a wing or not. That's going to happen. And now we're more defensive-minded, I think. I think Pep's going a little bit more defensive-minded, trying to find options with those defenders, of course, to break out. I think that could be a problem for us because if we're not, sometimes looking a bit shaky at the back when we are more defensive minded. That's a bit of a worry, but that's what Pep's there to sort out. That's why he gets paid the big money. That's why he's a genius. He'll sort that out. I mean, you can look at last night and think of Kanji. What position was he playing Akanji in? Absolutely unbelievable. If he's going to play someone in that position, play Lewis in it. Why is Akanji playing? But I thought on reflection, Akanji's a bigger lad, so perhaps he knew of Sevilla's strengths in height wise, so he played Akanji for dead balls, for free kick, stuff like that, throwing into the box corners. He didn't have one, so that didn't matter. But corners into the box, I think we would have struggled, and Akanji's height makes a difference. But honestly, I can't, but Pep's used that as a bit of an experiment last night, I think. But was it exciting? Was it a bit boring? I mean, generally, City have been a little bit more boring the last couple of seasons than we have. Of course we have, but that's just a change in personnel. And of course, do we put bums on seats? We do, but yeah, I don't think we're actually entertaining the boys who are, they're coming to watch full pulsating football. functional football at the moment from City as the champions, and that's what we're entitled to do. But I don't call it boring. I call it something else. But I'm a City fan. I'm biased. But from an outside point of view, I can fully understand people saying we're boring.
It's an interesting point you made about the change in personnel. If you go back, let's say 5 years, we did have Leroy Sané, we did have Raheem Sterling, we did have Sergio Aguero, we did have David Silva. Those guys, they're not boring. They're exciting players, you know. And we still had KDB and Gundogan as well at the time. So, you know, yeah, you're right. We've changed.
And the skill with Pep is you can take a potentially exciting player like Bernardo and make him boring and functional. And that's what he does to help the team.
Well, I did a couple of videos today about one about Cole Palmer and one about Jack Grealish. When I talked about Jack Grealish and Riyad Mahrez, when they came from their respective clubs, Jack Grealish came from Villa, Riyad Mahrez came from Leicester. They were very exciting players who, you give them the ball, they want to go forwards. They want to take people on. They I think, rarely were looking the other way, looking to pass it back. They weren't functional. They wanted to have a go at the defender. They wanted to make things happen. And they were big fish in small ponds. At City, they don't do that. At City, it's much more... Negative is the wrong word, but it's much more pragmatic. It's about not losing the ball. And one comment I said, look, if each of these guys has 10 dribbles in a game, at Leicester and Villa, if you're successful with 6, let's say, that's fine. That's actually pretty good. If you lost the ball 4 times, they're not going to worry because that's their, with all due respect, level. You do that at City, you're not playing. You're off. You're going to get yanked off or not playing the next game. You cannot afford that level of that ratio of failure because we don't lose the ball. And I said about Cole Palmer, that's what has changed with him. He's become more boring. He's still exciting. He's still more exciting than some of the others. But he's become more boring. And by becoming more boring, I mean, it sounds counterintuitive. He's become a better player for Pep's system. So is that what the kids have to do? Exciting talent? Yeah. If we got Friday,
Mahrez for me never really put bums on seats. I mean, obviously in Algeria he probably would just by being Riyad Mahrez. And Palmer for me last night. I mean, until he got the goal, I was to myself. I didn't say it to anyone else. A poor man's Mahrez. You know, I'm a poor man's Gary James, and that's being horrible to Palmer because he did a great job last night and he scored a wonderful goal when we needed it, and that's fantastic. Well, that's what Pep's asking him to do. That's not his, as you say, that's not natural for what he wants to do, and that's what Pep does with players. He perhaps if he had a couple of flair players like now if he gets this. Doku, is it? Doku. I mean, he obviously flies down the wing. I mean, you look Vinicius Junior. If you had control of him, we'd see a different thing. Of course we would. But Palmer's never going to fly down the wing, but he takes chances. But under Pep's system, he's not particularly allowed to do that. So he's restrained in the same way he restrains people like Bernardo at times. He's restraining Cole Palmer as well.
I mean, I wouldn't be as harsh as you. I actually said he reminded me of Mahrez. Getting the ball past him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I wouldn't put it out in print, but I've said it, but I wouldn't ever say it out loud. I wouldn't ever say it, but to me, that's what he was trying to do. And I thought, well, that's hot. And then I chided myself as I do. No, that's a bit harsh, Bernie, because he's doing what he's meant to be doing. And he isn't Mahrez, but Pep's trying to play a system where perhaps Mahrez, thinking Mahrez like when he plays it.
But I watched him. Yesterday, and I thought it reminded me of Mahrez. That first half, the second half, he scored a goal, had other chances, exactly like Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez will score a beautiful goal. He'll have another good chance, and he'll fluff it up, same as Palmer. So,
and the trouble is, you've got Grealish on the other side, who is doing a mirror image of it, isn't he? He's doing exactly the same thing, cutting in from his side. He's trying to get in, doesn't speed the game up at all, tries to bring players to him and tries to curl that ball in as a shot or as a cross. Yeah. So he's literally, that worries me. There's no real difference between the two sides, left and right at the moment, and neither are fantastic, if you like. Both are do what they do, but that worries me that we need something a little bit different.
If you think that the sun shines out of Grealish's backside, don't watch the video I did about Jack Grealish, because for me, he's not doing it. He's very boring. But it's not the boring thing that gets me. It's the lack of deliverables from Grealish that frustrates me. 12 goal contributions last season, 5 goals and 7 assists. It's not good enough.
And it is tough for him, as you say. Sevilla, all credit to him, they had a goal, but they're so organised. I mean, they say playing for Aston Villa, Jack Grealish wouldn't have played teams would have been a bit more less defensive, so he had opportunities. I mean, he's against teams like Sevilla, well, any Premier team now playing City, they're not going to come at us and leave gaps at the back for Grealish to get into. So he's having that problem, and him and obviously Mahrez had the same problem when he played, and of course Palmer will have the same problem now, where they're on the wings, but they're being closed down. There's not a lot of room to manoeuvre.
Do you think it's simply down to personnel that we are, for want of a better word, more boring than we were a few years ago?
I think Pep, he has to utilise what he's got. I mean, Pep tells Cheeky what he wants. I think Pep's mindset. I thought this year, if he got the right personnel, we might be a little bit. Now we've got the monkey off our back with the Champions League, but Pep still wants certain things, and this is a problem. You don't want to risk things, so you still got to see these sort of performances where, you're not going to throw. He's not going to throw the youngsters in, or if someone comes through from the academy all of a sudden who's a pacey winger. It's not going to happen because Pep wants his legacy. His legacy's there now. He's got into. I'm probably, hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed, he'll say I'll stay another year or two. But we're into the last 2 years. He's got his legacy to think of, and it's fantastic. Of course it is. Yeah. But he doesn't want to go out on 2 damp squibs now. He don't want to go out with a couple of Carabao Cups. So he has to play with what he's got, and what he's got isn't what he had 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. Can you see it changing in any point, even if he gets some? Even if he gets Jeremy Doku, even if he gets that Paquetá, is he going to change? If he gets Mbappe or whoever he gets, is he going to change? Is he just?
I think if he gets the Paquetá, I think it'll change a bit, because obviously that allows. At the moment, we've lost KDB. We've lost KDB for hopefully 3 months. Hopefully, it won't go to 4. There's a couple of international breaks. We have, apart from Newcastle this week, we've got winnable games. Most of them, of course, we'll get into the United stages, aren't we, when he's due back, if it's 3 months or 2.5 months or something like that. But without KDB, he's a bit more, you use the word pragmatic. That's what he has to be. But if he gets this Paquetá, I think he can base it, but having said that, how quickly is Paquetá going to settle? We saw Guardiola last night, didn't we? It was okay. Guardiola, some people saying he looked brilliant. I thought it was okay. I'm not going to go further than that. But it'll take time. So, yeah. Took time. I expect Pep without KDB to be a bit more, some people call it boring and I'll call it functional winning games. Simple as that.
Paquetá took a while at West Ham. He took 2/3 of the season.
Yeah, people because you didn't hear anything from him, did you? Didn't hear any rave reviews. As I said, I didn't watch Match of the Day much. You get a lot of rave reviews on there if someone's showing, don't you? And I didn't watch a lot, but I didn't hear much about this guy.
All right, I'm going to round it off. Just last question, Bernard. Even if City are boring, are you going to stick by them? Are you going to keep watching them?
Well, every City fan. I mean, hopefully these guys who jump on board the old City train, or all these guys that were watching in South Korea, in Japan, all these sky blue shirts. Let's just hope they're in it for the long haul, like we've been. And if some drop off, fair enough. But we want to, stick. People like winners, don't they? We are winning at the moment. All right, we sort of managed it last night. It could have been a bit dodgy, but we got through it. It's nice to win with style, but it's also nice to have a bit of style and a bit of grit, and let's combine the two and carry on winning. Yeah.
All right. That's great. Thanks, Bernard. Hope you have a good day. And bring on more boring City, because boring City means trophies, means winning stuff, and it gives us the banter rights over the other clubs around. So thanks so much for your chat today, Bernard.